Are you ready, Barbara?
I'm ready, Ron.
Good morning, Dr. Barbara Johnson. How are you this morning?
I'm very well. Thank you, Ron. How are you this morning?
Great. I cannot believe it's now yet 11 weeks that we're doing Yes, Yes, You. And we've done the 10 chapters and we're now on the last chapter. And it's called Mr. Shuttle Drive. It's actually the first time I've heard about it. Um, so Barbara, tell me, Mr. Shuttle Drive, that this chapter. The question I want to put forward to you, yes, yes, you, the 10 stepping stones to get on with your life. The chapter Mr. Shuttle Drive really stands out. Can you briefly tell us the story behind this chapter?
It's a beautiful story. I was in Colorado, Denver, USA. It was snowing. Here's this little South African with her big yellow suitcase, and I had a shuttle booked for 6 a.m. one morning to get me to the airport. And by some reason, I couldn't stay in bed. I couldn't stay. I was active. I was up and about. And I went to my pickup point 20 minutes ahead of time in the snow, plugging this big suitcase down snowy steps. And believe it or not, the shuttle driver arrived literally as I arrived, 20 minutes ahead of his time to be with me. I was very grateful. The South African doesn't know snow too much. And so to get into a warm shuttle drive was to be held and looked after. As it turned out, I was the only passenger on that trip. Another amazing thing to have happened. And I happened to sit right behind the driver himself. And we had a interaction through the rear view mirror. And in the time that we were together, it was about 40 minutes. He opened his heart to me, eye to eye through this rear view mirror. And he's telling me, Ron, that at the end of this drive, he's about to commit suicide. What a story of this huge, big, beautiful man telling me that he's about to end his life. Well, by the time I got off the shuttle, I was stepping across all the luggage of the people standing in the next queue to now get to the second part of the trip, now to the airport. And this man, he comes hurtling over all these suitcases through the people to find me. And he gives me this big, big, big hug. And he says to me, "Thank you for saving my grandson's heart from breaking." He had decided he would not kill himself that day. In fact, that he would not kill himself that day. And it was in that moment, Ron, I really wished I had something to leave him with. And honestly, he is the inspiration of this book, the second edition of Yes, Yes, You. I had written Yes, Yes, You 10 years previous. Yes, the tools were in that book. But this man's story, this man's impact on me was so great that I decided to spend a year editing the book, adding his story for the sake of a gifting, a 10 stepping stone system, if you will, that have come off 40 years of lifelong learning, 40 years of people development for a fuller human experience. And I believe this book helps us do just that.
And Barbara, it's quite interesting about the story that you just mentioned. And especially in my business, dealing with over-indebtedness, a lot of people get themselves into a dwang and they don't know how to get out. And all they do is they focus on the money. And the money is something that they think is on a tree. And what they'll do is they'll start with a bank. The bank doesn't want to give it to them and they go to a cash loan company. And then it's an unregistered cash loan company. And these people are ruthless and they want the money. And how many of them have been threatened with their lives? And I've seen it so many times, how many people has lost their lives because they cannot face reality, because it was drink or whatever. And, and that's just why this book is so important. I mean, I just look at what's actually happening in the world. I mean, jobs are going to get made redundant. Petrol prices are going up. People don't know where to turn to. But I mean, this book will help you with your 10 stepping stones. You have to overcome that fear. You have to overcome that pain. You have to become the person that you want to be. And you've uh, you've also in those chapters what we spoke about in the last 10, it even resonated with me where I can change. It's easy to read the book, but having a conversation with you becomes a different ball game altogether, because asking the questions and coming out what you're saying. So anybody that's listening, why don't you tune into the YouTube site? I'll drop the link in there and you can follow the chapters on the discussions of every chapter that we do. So Barbara, the next point is, what was the moment with the shuttle driver that made you realize this experience belongs in your book?
It was that hug. It was the hug of this huge man, a mountain of a man. And that gratitude, that space of understanding for the first time in his life, that it wasn't the external, but it was the internal journey that he needed to have. It was living from the space of core, from the space of 2 feet on the ground, from the space of defiance, if you will, of the environment. It was about him. It was about the responsibility that he had towards himself. The thing is, we are not taught that. We are not taught that we are the ones, we are the magic, we are the strength. We are the one who will do what needs to be done because it is up to us. Nobody's coming to save us. And we have to find that energy, that dynamic, vital life force to anchor ourselves. And in the anchoring, we can believe again in ourselves, our true self, our true North Star, if you will, for our unique happiness. It's up to us.
And Barbara, it's so interesting what you're saying there. And I think we spoke Friday morning with our accountability partnership on that quote of Clint Eastwood when I spoke to you about don't let the old man in. It is, and that quote sits with me every day. And the key is, as soon as you let that old man in, doesn't matter if you're 21 and the old man is 30, as soon as you put that in, you're going to lose all perspective of life, because you're going to listen to that inner voice saying you can't do it. And sometimes you just have to break away, look at the mirror and put your quotes on there, put your affirmations on there, and become the person that you want to be. Forget about the noise around you. You know, it's a noise that makes you insecure. It's the
Yeah.
people around you that makes you insecure. But as you said, you've got your own destiny. You've got your own gift. You've got your own purpose. You've got your own knowledge and wisdom. Just use it. And that's where I can start finding yourself. Uh, which brings me to the next point. Why do you think ordinary encounters with ordinary people often carry the most powerful life lessons?
Because they are ordinary. We are here living ordinary lives. But the truth of the matter is, we are called, life calls us to be extraordinary. This book resonates with ordinary people wanting to become extraordinary. This is not a read book. This is a do book. When you do the work that it takes for you to do what is best for your life calling, you get to live extraordinarily. This book comes out of decades of trauma counseling and life coaching, decades of lifelong learning. This is based on the psyche of the whole human being. But it takes the whole human being to show up in the form of journaling, for instance. Chapter 1 is about journaling. How do we find true self if we do not do the work, if we do not have the tools? We have tools. The thing is, we need to do the work. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes commitment, it takes consistency. It's ordinary life, just made extraordinary every day.
And Barbara, it's so important what you said, starting with chapter 1 with journaling. And that's what I figured out. Is starting with your why. Why do you want to do it? And write it down. And how, the what, the whens. Just start with if you don't know how to do it. And just use the color pens. And put yes, yes, you next to you and start with your why and read every page and start making notes. And when you finish with the book, just go back and compare your notes and you'll see how things are starting to change because it becomes a domino effect. Because as you said, that book of yours it's not about studying, it's about everyday's life. And it's how that can impact me as a person, understanding self, growing self, and being self. You know, sometimes you just have to move out of that comfort zone to be comfortable. The sad part is most of us will drive your vehicle looking in the rearview mirror because this person said that person said this. I don't feel self-worth because we look at the rearview mirror. You've got a big windscreen to look forward to, and you can see the road clearer. So the next question is, what did the shuttle driver knowingly teach you about life? And that's for me quite an interesting question.
Well, knowingly teach me about life is that we're all human, that we all need support, that we are all looking for answers for that darkness within us. Our environment is tough. Our conditioning is tough. The way we are in life becomes tougher and tougher and tougher because of the work situation, the colleagues, the pressure, the stress, the burnout. We are human, and it is our job to re-engage with that humanity within ourselves, to understand that we are not just on this earth to consume. We are on this earth to create and leave a legacy and leave this place a better place for having hosted us. My next book, Wimp to Warrior, it's also published and it's also on Amazon, talks well about the 8 dimensions of life. The soul being one of them. Our life calling is way bigger than we've ever been taught. And if we do not appreciate the fact that we can find meaning and purpose and fulfillment on a day-by-day basis, then we are selling our lifetime here short. And that is not what we're here for. We're meant to live into a full human experience, finding our true self, finding our unique happiness. We are called to be the best we are because it is that best that the world is craving. And Ron, if we don't bring it, nobody else has the capacity to bring it. Our job here is to be the best we are so that we can leave this world in a better situation.
And what was quite interesting what you just said there, and I'm just going to go back into the COVID days. And I was thinking what you were mentioning. All of a sudden, the first week was fine. I'm going to stay at home. The second week, it's okay. The third week, everybody says, ooh, am I going to get an income closer to payday? What's going to happen? And then 2 months down the line, salaries get cut. What do I do now? And the funniest part is, most people, through pain, figure that out to become the person they want to be. And sometimes we have to go through that pain to figure out who we really want to be. What is the journey it's going to take? And sometimes it's what we're going to do with our time. Because time is valuable. Money and all of this is everything is material. The house doesn't belong to you, it belongs to the earth. It's your time, what you have to do. And I think this book of yours, Yes, Yes, You, and especially the shuttle driver, he figured that out, that his time is valuable for his grandson. And I think this is what we need to make sure that there's so many people that loves us around us, close to us, and people we can share with. And I think this is important. So question 5, many listeners might think the shuttle driver is just doing a job. What do you see in him that others might overlook?
I'll tell you another story to answer that question. I was once employed by a company, myself and my business partner, to go into the company to do customer satisfaction questionnaires. And yes, they put us in the conference room. But the conference room was the second conference room, which they were now using as a storeroom. And I couldn't work in a situation or an environment like that. I decided to have the storeroom packaging and boxes removed. And what I couldn't remove, I made pretty. And I ended up turning the conference room into what it should have looked like, plus adding my own touches of flowers and plants and warmth and tea and coffee, and making it a place, an environment that reconnected to my humanity. Ron, we are worthy. We are worthy of having environments that work for us, especially when we can take control of that environment. I went out on a limb. I moved things around. Not a single person told me I should not. I didn't need permission and I didn't need to apologize. What I got back was, she's a dynamic woman. She gets things done. And I ended up having results way better than even my own partner. Because my mentality was, if this is going to be my ordinary life in the next 3 or 4 weeks, there's no ways I'm going to work in these conditions. We are human beings and we need to respect ourselves first as a human being worthy. Ron, we're not taught that, especially women. And it's women who are loving and nurturing and accepting that I'm saying, especially to them. Get defiant, stand on 2 feet, and know what you will stand for and what you will not stand for. We need to rehumanize ourselves so that we can be compassionate and caring and supportive to other people.
Barbara, I think I mentioned this before, you have to be uncomfortable to be comfortable. And, it's the story what you just mentioned, and we all got stories to tell. Yeah, I looked at when I went through a difficult time, I think nobody can touch me. I'm making money, and all of a sudden everything gets taken away from you, and you landed up in magistrate's court. And the sheriff rocks up your door and takes your car away. What is people going to think? That's all that went through. It's not about the money, it's what people going to think. But I realized at the end of the day, by putting on a suit, being the first in the queue, tackle it head on and say, yeah, it's a mistake. It's life lessons. Not realizing that turns into a gift, which I can share with other people. Same as the shuttle driver. It's a story we can all tell of pain because it's uncomfortable to be comfortable to find your journey of life. And we're so pressured by parents, especially kids, of trying to get the best results to get into university. Sorry, the university doesn't gonna bring you money. It's all got to do with self. It's how you find self.
Just on that note, before you ask me the next question, I've had a very interesting experience in the last couple of weeks. And the last couple of weeks have been highly pressurized and stressful from a money perspective. But here's the thing that I've learned. The greater the frustration and the pain is an equal opportunity for growth. And in the last 2 weeks, I have created the most beautiful work that is based on my 40-odd years, 72 years in total, of my lifelong learning, that I have managed to put together what I am calling the happiness system. And I've gone one step further and I've added high frequency leadership, not only for men, but for women and for youth as well. High frequency leadership. The generosity of the universe, the generosity of my well-being, the generosity of my gratitude for life has manifested in a 3-day program and a 12-month program around how do we find, even in the pain of the pain, that happiness based on what it is that's actually happening and can happen in our lives. Here's the thing, Ron. People have been automated long before AI came out. We have been automated in the Industrial Revolution. We have been robotized. We have been desensitized. We have been nullified as human beings. And I am a champion for rehumanizing us as worthy human beings. We have to do the work.
And Robert, it's so true. And I just want to add on that. 2 weeks ago, I was having a meeting with an attorney, and he turned around to me and he said to me, you cannot do what you're doing because you're not qualified. I said, I'll get qualified if you can show me in the Bible that I need education to do what I'm doing. It says, if you can find me the word university or degree, it says, how? That's deep. I says, because there's two universities, the University of Knowledge and the University of Wisdom equals your gift. And that is for me the key, which brings me to the one of the points. Your book is built on 10 stepping stones for getting on with life. How does these lessons from the shuttle driver connect with those earlier stepping stones?
It connects with all of it. His story and the use of the 10 stepping stones, they all connected. He's an ordinary human being in ordinary life circumstances. He has a calling to continue his life for a purpose. For when we take on ownership of how do we find our meaning in the crisis, because there's always a crisis. Here's the thing. People seem to think that we come into this world for an easy life. Life is not easy. Life is tough. There's burnout, there's retrenchments, there's divorce, there's suicide, there's murder, and. The thing is, how are we going to respond to the crisis? How are we going to respond with maturity if we haven't done the work? If we do not know who we are as a human being, yet alone the human being we want to become?
But
It takes work. It takes our work, our commitment to redefine our humanity.
and you know, it's the sad part what you just said there, Barbara. Most of us want to be a people pleaser instead of pleasing self. You know, I think you need to go get a job, get an income. We need to put food on the table. But at the end of the day, you start losing your dream because all you're doing is trying to focus on the people around us to keep us happy. You know, I've seen it so many times in the business. The husband works 12, 14 hours a day just to put food on the table, and there's no food. Everybody worries, and everything, the communication breaks. And sometimes, and this is where the sad part is, and I think the shuttle driver is a true story, what you said. Just to jump all over those suitcases that you realized all I need is a hug to say, yeah, can I do something better? How can I become that person? How do I move out of my comfort zone? How can this book help me? How do I grow self? All of this is in this book. So, listeners, the link to all the video links in the YouTube will be in there that you can follow the whole course and buy Dr. Barbara Johnson's book, Yes, Yes, You. So, Barbara, the last point I want to bring in, what simple mind shift can help people move from being a passenger in life to the driver of their own direction?
Take ownership. Take ownership of your life. of your choices, of your responsibility, what you focus on, the words that you use about yourself and your life, the energy that you're trying to create, the environment you're trying to create, the peace that you're looking for so that you can move forward. Take ownership of all of that. Have order in your life, have design in your life, have an internal clock in your life, have vitality for life itself within yourself. Take ownership of that. That is your job to do.
And Barbara, if I may, I've worked on one simple principle, and I've learned this by looking at my own hand. My thumb is my strength, because if you want to open up a bottle, you use your thumb. Your index finger is the direction where you want to go. Just write it down. The middle finger is your brand. Who are you? Where do you want to be? What is your direction? How much people need to see you? The ring finger is who do you want to build relationships with? But you have to build a relationship with yourself first before you can build a relationship with anybody else.
Right.
And the pinky, it's always the small things in life. That bolt in that plane, if it's not tight, can make the plane fall out of the sky, or the engine not going to turn the car. It's the pinky promise. Never break a pinky promise to yourself. So if you know what your strength, your direction, your brand relationship, and your pinky promise is, and you combine it, we've got power. We know what self is, and we know how to control self. So, Barbara, thank you very much. We end of this 30 minutes. We've gone a little bit over. I want to say thank you very much. So, listeners, remember, like and share. And Dr. Barbara Johnson, have a wonderful day, and we'll see each other next week, Wednesday, same time.
Thank you,
Oh,
Ron. Thank you, listeners.
just some
Awesome
announcement.
being here.
Come on.